Hi, my name is Trevor Ellis. This is my Chapter 8 speech on listening. So, for the first question, how can you tell when someone's listening to you? For me, I have a couple ways. One is their body language. If they're constantly making eye contact, if you could tell that they're kind of locked into the conversation, they're not getting distracted by their phone or other people or stuff going on around them, then you could be pretty sure that they're an active listener in the conversation you're having. And it's not like, oh, they're just trying to wait for you to get through what you're trying to say. Also, another way I could tell is if that person kind of reiterates what you were trying to tell them by asking questions. So like if you were explaining something, they'll go more in depth and ask more follow-up questions, so that way they also gain information, but they also kind of reassure you that they were paying attention and that they were invested in whatever you were saying. How does it make it feel when someone is not listening to you? I feel like people feel kind of like, I wouldn't say disrespected, but they feel disregarded when they don't feel listened to. I feel like in our today's lives, so much of our interactions are, just kind of like very surface, small talk. Like a lot of stuff that we talk about on a day-to-day basis isn't really that important. Usually, the only time you get in a real conversation is with people who matter to you, or something, or people who you really want them to understand what you're saying, and it relates to a situation that's very critical and important to you. So in those situations that is important to you, or a subject that's important to you, if you feel like someone is not listening, you feel like it's because they don't think it's important, or they don't think it's worth their time, and by extension you think that they don't think that you're worth their time or effort, and that could be disappointing for some people. A time in detail where I feel like I wasn't being listened to. I feel like everyone has a couple of these instances in their life. For instance of like, for child development, sometimes as a child you don't feel listened to because you might be trying to tell an adult something, whether it be your teacher or your parents, and then they might kind of just brush you off, and just because you're a kid and they don't feel like what you're saying is important or worth their time. And as a kid, that could be very hurtful. It kind of can make you withdraw a little bit too. For like an adult setting, for dating, I had an ex-girlfriend. She it went both ways. Both of us weren't active listeners to one another, so we would tell each other things, and it might be important to one person, but it wasn't important to the other person. So there was always a disconnect because neither one of us were actively listening to what the other person was trying to say, and by extension, neither one of us were properly valuing the other person because we didn't properly value what they had to say or how they wanted to express themselves, and then it ended up not working out. So that could be a downfall of not being a good listener, is that it could really affect your personal relationships. But that's it for my speech. Thank you.